All right. So thanks all the teachers for joining our Whiteboard.chat webinar. This webinar is a little bit different, although the banner here says it's Whiteboard.chat for beginners. Yeah, it is for beginners, but we wanted to take some time specifically to focus on Microsoft Teams. And so this session will be having some team specific content as well. And I will primarily will try and look at how to use Whiteboard.chat within my Microsoft Teams. We'll touch a little bit about OneNote, but I still would like to make sure that I cover Teams more completely so that you can start to use that once your school year begins. So let's get going. Uh, the agenda would be, I would primarily go over how to set up a whiteboard over the Microsoft Teams, and then we'll try and might be a little bit tricky to do the live experience this time around because quite often the teachers and the students have to be on the same Microsoft Teams education account. But the interesting thing is that even though the teacher may set up a board on Microsoft Teams, the students can join it using Teams, or if they have the right link, they can join it from outside Team as well. So that's definitely a very important feature. And questions and answers, please do type in your questions on the Zoom chat window. And periodically, I have two colleagues, Dhawal and Pawan, who are on the call. They will voice the questions over the Zoom conference, and I will try to periodically stop and cover those questions. Right. So real quick, uh, where does Whiteboard.chat come into this whole educational ecosystem, virtual class ecosystem? We have the LMSs out here. They're growing in number now. These are some of the LMSs we had put in when we started last year, when we started Whiteboard.chat last year. But now we have a few more popular ones that are coming up. And they primarily help teachers get organized in terms of their content, setting up classrooms and giving out assignments and things like that. Maybe even some amount of rostering features. And then we have the conferencing the technologies, which are Google Meet, Microsoft Teams, Zooms, WebEx, and many others right there. But what has been missing has been the overall observability of the classroom, and the teachers, they not only need to be able to engage their students, but if they were that they expressed a keen interest in being able to observe what students are doing, watch their progress through assignments, and also give them feedback. And that's where Whiteboard.chat really shines, and that's our marquee feature. So this is in one slide shows you exactly what Whiteboard.chat uh, is doing to contribute to the teacher and the student experience, and being able to for the teacher to set up content and share it with students. So a teacher sets up a board, prepares assignments, prepares activities, and then shares it with students. The students get their own version of the boards. They can work
Okay.
on.
Hmm.
Sorry about that. So students get a copy of these boards or activities. They can work on them individually, or they can work in a group, and the teacher can observe them real time. They can even work asynchronously, and then provide feedback at any time. So this it's perfect for the remote learning environment that we've had over the past year and a half. Right? It's been a very uh, very heartwarming for us to see how well this Whiteboard.chat has been accepted. So we started it out as a sort of a small feature, a small board where we wanted our own old children and their teachers to be able to have a effective learning session and environment. And that's where we started. But we started to take feedback from teachers and kept improving the Whiteboard.chat. And after that, the adoption has just skyrocketed since last year. So as you can see, we've been getting close to anywhere close to 60 to 70,000 users a day during peak times, and it's even probably grown more. This was probably just from the March timeframe that we've captured. So, and now with the improvements that we've added for accessibility, we have improvements that we've added in terms of making the board cleaner and simpler. We expect that our user growth and the adoption and just the impact that Whiteboard.chat is going to have on the online learning experience to be much more greater and beneficial to teachers and students. Our team is extremely uh, responsive and active on social media. We have a very engaged, highly engaged uh, Facebook group called Teachers Using Whiteboard.chat. And so we will shortly post those links on the Zoom chat as well. So we encourage all teachers to be part of that group. That really helps us get a lot of feedback from teachers. It helps us easily help our teachers out. And now over the last 6 months or so, we've seen that even most of our initial pioneer teachers have gotten so good at using Whiteboard.chat that they provide all kinds of help. There may be even suggestions on how to use the same tools for different things, some workarounds for certain things. So it's really useful to be part of the teachers using Whiteboard.chat on Facebook. Of course, if you have some specific issues that you want us to answer, or even have ideas on how to enrich further, please do visit feedback, or please do send mail to feedback@whiteboard.chat, and uh, we can communicate over email. We've also often done Google Meet sessions with teachers one-on-one to solve any issues or give them suggestions on what they could do to use Whiteboard.chat better. So with that said, let's quickly switch over to our Whiteboard.chat in Microsoft Teams itself. What I am going to try and do is I am first going to explain to you just the setup that I have in terms of me being a teacher, how I have set up my classroom, and my channels and so on, right? So I didn't mean to say that I'm a teacher in real life, but as a teacher having a role as a teacher, the way I've set up things, and then I will also show you how my student version of me has view access to Teams as well, and what they would see. So this is the Teams view. I hope you can see my Chrome browser. And this is the Teams view that I have as a teacher. So this is my handsome looking teacher here. Uh, and I have two teams that have been set up, which are in form of just two grade eight classes in some sense. And I have set them up so that they have the general group, which comes as a standard group, or a general channel, which comes as a standard channel when you start a team. But this teacher has also broken the classroom up into an advanced, beginner, and intermediate section. So quite often, I think when people see this demo, they get a little confused. Oh, how did Teams set this up for you? Well, actually, it's not part of Teams. It is something that this teacher, or I have done as after adding this particular team, I have created these channels, which helps sort of a teacher break up students who may be lagging behind or who are doing really well, and then give them different assignments. So similar to this classroom, I have another grade 8 classroom, which is a science classroom. And here the science classroom is just broken up into accelerated and regular. Okay. And then I'm going to switch my browser to Firefox. Here I have the student uh, who is attending the same class here. So this is the math class that the student is part of. Now, just for demo reasons, I have added the student into all of the channels. But of course, a real teacher may choose to segregate them out and assign them to different channels purely based on the type of separation they want in their class. So that's the quick breakdown on how my classroom has been set up. And so let's see now, as a teacher, if I now want to start using whiteboard.chat. So what it, as you may have first, of course, before even going into Teams directly, you always have access to our whiteboard.chat homepage, and you can access all the enriched functionality from here. And quite often I've seen that it's very convenient for teachers to maybe create an account on whiteboard.chat or log in using social media, right? So let me just demonstrate where you can do that. Let me sign off myself here. So if you go into start drawing and manage boards, then you can use the social media accounts to log in from here, and so create an account. And then you can use the same account within Teams as well. So let me, as a teacher now, go and add the whiteboard.chat app within Teams. So as you would go do for any other Teams app, you would go to the app section and search for whiteboard.chat. There it is. So when you click on this tile, um, just like most of the apps, you get a panel that shows you a lot of information about the app. So we have a privacy policy, terms of use here. We have currently made a personal tab available, as well as a tab app which you can add into a team or a chat. Right, so you have three types of tabs that you can add. It could be a personal, it could go into a team channel, or it could be into a one-on-one chat as well, or even with a group chat. And then of course you have a video that can also give you a quick introduction. um, so now first is what we would like to do as a teacher is to create an assignment, and then have that assignment be added to a channel within a classroom, right? So if you click, you can either add the tab directly into a team or chat from here, but if you just click on open, then this adds a whiteboard.chat tab app within your personal space, right? So this is your personal space as a teacher, and you get presented the login panel. Now, if you use whiteboard.chat outside Teams, you can directly go into start drawing and start teaching. And this just puts you into an anonymous mode. So that means you haven't created an account with us, and you can just start using it. You can have even send out invites to to students, and there's no login that is required. In Teams, however, because we need to associate the teachers' accounts and which boards they own and things of that nature, you are required to create an account. So you could do a sign up process right here, or you can use, if you already have an account, then you just use that and then sign in. After you do that, you get presented a list of the boards that you may have already prepared. So this is our manage board section that you can see. If you, of course, are using whiteboard.chat for the very first time within Teams, then this would be blank, as you know, there no boards to list as such. And at that point, of course, you could click on start teaching and then start teaching a new board. So the idea behind having the manage board show up here is that this personal tab essentially is a way for a teacher to just get organized, prepare classroom sessions, and that's separate from just engaging with students, right? Because if you were to create a separate if we were to create a separate Teams channel, then or a way for a teacher to prepare boards within Teams, then the teacher would probably need a separate channel and with nobody else in it, so that the students can't see that board when the board is still being authored, right? So this is a way for teachers to come in and start preparing a board. Let's say that this teacher wants to start teaching, and so the teacher is now going to set up a new board. Now, as you can see, this some of the members who may have used our whiteboard.chat first version, our new board looks a little bit different because we recently launched the V2 version of our user interface. So a good number of things have moved around, but no worries, none of the features have been taken away. uh, we've got a ton of help available in terms of which features map to which location in the new board. So, and if you have any questions, please do ping us on email or even on the Facebook group as well. So let's say the teacher here wants to prepare a simple assignment. Okay, so I'm going to say, I'm going to click and type, and let's say this font is okay, or maybe I can use a slightly bigger font. Can change the text size here. All right, and let's say that I'm creating some really simple assignments. Of course, this is no longer 8th grade material, but let's say for the sake of this demonstration, if this is the simple assignment I'm creating. So I just created. Sorry, is there any question? If you don't mind, I'm going to mute you. Okay. All right, and then the teacher just wants to add a way for students to add their answers in here as well. So the teacher adds a text box, two text boxes. I'm using this also as a way to demonstrate some features. If you have any questions, do put them in the Zoom chat and we'll take those a little later. And the teacher now has the ability to add answers and points. Let's say the teacher adds 5 points for this and the correct answer is 4. Yeah, you can right click on these text boxes and click on add answers and points and then say 5 here. And of course the answer is -1. All right. And let's name this assignment. Okay. All right. So now my board is ready. And if I switch to the About tab and I come back to the Manage Boards, this actually brings up the Manage Boards page for me. Alternately, another thing that you can do is, let's say I have saved this board. Let me just quickly load the board again. Another thing you can do to go back to the manage boards is that the manage board section is moved here. It used to be on this bar, but now it's moved down here. So you can click on that as well. All right, so let's see, our assignment's ready. And now I would like to post it to my classroom and have students look at it. So I switch over to my Teams icon here. And so this is a simple math assignment. I'm going to go to my grade 8 beginners. Okay. Now the teacher can click on this plus icon here to add a tab. And now, of course, I searched for whiteboard.chat earlier. So my whiteboard.chat shows here already. You may not see this one. This one is just a test version. So please ignore that for now. But this is the icon you will see, and the teacher can just click on that. All right. And once you go through this, this is going to be saved. All right. So I'm going to just sign in. Okay, so this brings up the manage boards as you saw earlier too. Now the interesting thing about the tab that you saw in the personal area versus this tab here in the channel is that this the manage boards page is only there for the initial selection of your assignment. So I would like to assign the simple math assignment here. So that's the teacher just needs to go and click on this view icon and it opens up this board. Now, what this does is that it pins this assignment or this board to this tab here. So even if you reload this page or you revisit or you move to a different tab and come back here, it should open up the same board for both the teacher as well as the student. So that's one difference that you do need to keep in mind, and that's what the teacher wants, is that the teacher gets a list of boards, selects which one needs to be assigned, and then that shows up here. Now, when this board got added here to this channel, it also sends out a notification to all the channel group members that there's a new activity within that channel. So let's now switch over to the students. I'm going to change my browser to the Firefox browser and look at what's going on here. So if within Teams, I see that the student can now join the math div A. And here we have this assignment. It was just added. So it was added, oh, sorry, I should switch over to the beginner channel. All right, and so this is now this is my student role here, and the student is able to see this board. And when the student clicks on this, they get the copy of their own board for themselves, right? So this is
Sid, may I interrupt you just because there is a question related to what you just did? Yes. The question was, when students use this, will they have to enter any information? So in your case, you just so if you can just walk that through.
Yeah. So if now in this while I was preparing for this webinar, I had already attended a different whiteboard session using this browser as a student, and so this just basically connected me in directly. But again, depending upon the configuration of your board, it will either ask your student just for a name, or it may request them to log in as well. So there is a section here in the settings section where you can say only logged in students can join the board. So if you enable that, then of course it will ask the student for credentials if they are not already logged in using that browser window, or it may just ask them for a name that they need to enter. So that behavior is pretty much identical to what you see even outside Teams. Okay. Any other questions, sir?
No, Sid, carry on.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, let me go back to the student section here. So let's say the student types in some answers here, let's say, right? Oops. Yeah. And so, and then you have the same type of functionality that is available outside Teams as well, that the teacher can go and autocorrect all the boards, and that goes ahead and sets up, let me see, I should have maybe having some network issues. Oh, I'm sorry. I think this one has joined an instructor board for some reason. Yeah, as you can see up here, so this student should have actually been student mode. I may have logged in as the same individual. Let me fix that. Give me 1 second. So I may have at some earlier point in time logged in using the same browser as, yeah, that was my problem. So I can do that. I'm just going to do this part again. So let me use this opportunity to also demonstrate what a teacher needs to do in case an incorrect assignment was added to the channel. So now if I want to take this board off the channel, you can go here, click on the icon down here, and then remove this. So this permanently removes that tab from the channel also. And this gets removed from the students, and then the teacher can go and add this again. Okay, I'm going to go to the simple math assignment. Okay, that gets pinned. And I'm going to have this student join this board again. Okay, there you go. So now, because I'm no longer logged in as a teacher on that browser, now it's asking me for a name. So this is the students. So let's say I call it students. All right, so now we've got the student board here, and of course the student had earlier typed in this text as a teacher, so that showed up there. Let me just get rid of that. But let me see if I can select just that piece, or I may be able to just best fix that by removing that. Clean up that. So I'll add those text boxes again. Switch over to the student. So this is the student board now. And let's say the student types in some answers. Let's say the student types in something else here. Okay. And there you go. So now that's interesting. I should have called that right, unless I typed that incorrectly. So yeah, as you can see, the scoring can be done exactly like how we would do it in whiteboard.chat outside Teams as well. So that gives you an idea of the assignments that you can add. Now, here's an interesting thing you could do. In addition to this, this classroom and channel here, you can also assign a completely different assignment to a different channel. So while the beginner board is available to students, I can also go to the intermediate group and add a new board there. Same workflow. You pick the app, click save. Now you get to see the um, manage board section again. So let's say I pick for the intermediate students, I'm going to pick a little bit more interesting activity. So I'm going to pick this bar graph activity. So this is actually a board that one of our teachers has shared from Asia. And it's a really nice looking board. You can also, you're welcome to share your boards to the community section, and uh, you may be able to access the community from this area by going to the community boards here. So let me go back to the intermediate board section. So here it is. And now if I switch to the student board, I can see that the intermediate is in bold. So there is some notification, some activity there. And as the student joins this board, they can work on this. So you get an idea that you can have multiple classes with different material, different subjects, all in progress at the same time, because the student can also go back to the beginner section and rejoin their previous board. So they can do lots of asynchronous activities that way. And of course, as you would expect, you can do the same across classrooms too, right? So for example, so we had math that we just designed, and you can also go into science and assign some different assignments there. For example, let's say that I wanted to add an activity which is related to, let's see, add an app. This is the student board. Sorry, the student does not have access to that. So access to add an app there. So I'm going to go as a teacher into the science section, click on this. Okay, I think I should have selected I said I was still in the general area. I wanted to go into the regular section, the channel, and then add it there. Okay, so here for science, there's a activity related to electricity that I want to add. So I'm going to add that. It's a simple board that I created for students to draw, for example, an electrical circuit that connects LED to a battery with some switches, and there's some sample wires, and so the students are able to move these items around. If you need to, if you'd like to know how I added these, you can go into the gizmos section here. There are tons of manipulatives available in this section. So there's a lot of math manipulatives in terms of uh, uh, place value disks, number icons, and tons of things like that. You can also drop down here and look at alphabets, different languages, animals, people, clothes, and stuff like that, currencies. There's a bunch of interesting things you can do with currency. If we have time, we could go over that later. Experiment. So I looked at electrical, and I picked up these symbols from here. But there's a lot of other stuff in terms of 3D shapes and block codes and mind math. So you can definitely look at some of the other webinars that we have that describes a lot in detail about how these can be used. So now in terms of what the student can do, this now if I switch over here and the student switches to the science regular section, the student sees this new board that's been added, and the student can now select and then move them around if needed, right? So now they can click on this, move these around, clone, and then they can keep extending the wires and so on. So you get an idea, right? Now, yeah, so let me take a second for any questions. Anything new now?
Not on the what you are talking about, but there were earlier some questions about managed boards. So maybe when you get a chance, you can talk about the number of boards that you can create, how many boards are free, and including the storage plans that we have for.
I see. Yeah,
Yes.
so in terms of managed boards, of course, you can access your boards here. You can create folders. You can move them around to get organized. Uh, the, uh, the quick things to note here is if you see a plus sign, it probably means that it's a classroom board with students, and these are the various student boards in here as well. So you can collapse it or open it up. You can visit student boards directly from here. So for example, if I click on this, it directly takes me to the student board and I can provide feedback right here. I can go back to the managed boards from here. And now in terms of the storage plans, uh, we haven't added the storage plans directly and made them accessible within Teams, but absolutely you can go out into whiteboard.chat outside Teams and then look at our storage plan. So that's where you see this slight difference between the managed boards in within Teams versus outside Teams. And you can click on storage plans here and then subscribe to various plans available. So you don't technically need to select educator free, because everybody, once you create an account, you already are in educator free mode. So you have an unlimited board, so you can always create new boards. Nothing's stopping you from doing that. However, there's a restriction here in terms of what happens to these unlimited boards. When you create boards using the educator free account, uh, what happens is, let me switch over here, as you can see, there's now, I just created this simple math, right? So we did that just now on the webinar, and it got assigned an expiry date. Okay, so when you create boards, they get assigned an expiry date, which is generally within a week, 2 weeks. So we've been changing that a little bit, and that might change. We've sent out some news about what the date time frame could be. But if you would like to hold on to that board and do not have the system deleted completely, then you are expected to click this icon here, which extends the expiry. So this, I probably may have already extended it, so I'm not sure if it really extended further. But if we had created another board, so for example, just for demonstration purposes, if I create a new board, I just save it here, and you can go back, make sure it's saved. Yeah, there's a demo board size here. It's already been assigned that. I don't know if it's going to extend it further, but yeah. So if once you get closer to this date, then you can click on the expiry icon, and it pushes the expiry a little bit further. But you are expected to um, do that refreshing manually for all your boards once you're in an educator free account. Versus if you subscribe and go into the basic plan, then you can save up to 20 boards. So 20, you can uh, click on this tab, little ribbon out here, to pin that board into your managed board, and that will no longer be cleaned up by the system. So you can go up to 20 boards with this basic plan. And then if you have any boards beyond 20 boards, then you can still continue to do manual refresh. And if you go even further and subscribe for the gold plan, then if you have unlimited boards, and all of the boards get saved, and there's no manual refresh needed. I think this is really useful, because sometimes you create some really useful boards and which you'd like to use across semesters, then it just is beneficial that you don't lose that. Unfortunately, since we're a small company with limited resources, we've tried to make the whole whiteboard.chat available for so many teachers for free for a long period of time. And we do have to, the reason why we expire this is because it costs us a lot of money to store these boards. And if boards are not needed anymore, then we'd like to clean them up. And the only way for us to get some notification from teachers that, yeah, this board is indeed useful and I need you to keep it, is by doing some sort of expiry or to pin that board. Unfortunately, once the system deletes those boards, it's gone. And we get a lot of requests from teachers to recover boards, and it's just heartbreaking that we just can't do much about it, because it has literally been deleted. Okay.
There is one more question, Sid. That's about, can teacher download students' completed boards?
Yes. So what the teacher can do is, let me see if I can go here, and let's say if I go into my Teams math. Let's go into sections. So, okay. So now this is the instructor board for the assignment that we created a little while ago. Now there are a few options here. So you click on the drop down button here. So if you click on download PDFs, you see there's a ton of options that you have to download your board as a single PDF, or just this page as a single PDF, or the whole class which is just a single page. This is the first page of the whole class, or the whole class single PDF, or even multiple PDFs for one for each student, for example. So if I click on this, then it will download that for me and it will save it. So this is the board that was created, and so I can open it up. There you go. So this was the board for the student with the student grading. I think I probably may have clicked the refresh button there too, which caused the stars to show up there too as well. But when you don't have autocorrect going on, that's when the student board gets downloaded as well. So there's a few different options here for you to explore in terms of downloads. This and In addition to these boards, there's also the option to download student reports. So in some of the webinars, we've explained how we can get engagement activity. So for example, if I go into the grid view, this is something should have mentioned earlier as well. Let me just collapse this for a second. Yeah, there you go. So if I go into the grid view, this is the standard functionality available outside Teams as well. But within Teams also, teachers have the option of looking at the student boards, so they can see what activities students have done, right? And so you can join the board, you can give them feedback from there. And then if you as you can see, you have these numbers up here which show engagement scores. So how much is a student really engaged in the classroom? So if the student is doing a lot of adding objects, writing a lot of things, deleting things, and it just purely shows a lot of engagement, you can see these engagement numbers going up. Now you of course can visually quickly get an idea of which students are engaged real time, or you have the option of also going into this location here and click the student report. The student report includes engagement numbers, it includes your grading, the auto correction information, and things as well. That question, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think there are no further questions. You can keep going.
All right, awesome. So let's see. I wanted to now also demonstrate the ability to assign individual students boards based upon the Teams chat functionality. So let's look at that. Let's say that I have this student out here is probably needs some more exercises for understanding whole numbers. So what this teacher can do is teacher can go into the chat section. Now uh, the teacher can start a new chat with that student, and in addition to the regular chat messages, you can also add the same whiteboard.chat app into this chat. And then in an identical fashion, assign, let's say that I want to assign this board to the student. This is about whole numbers, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Right. So this is some assignments on whole numbers. This is page number 2. As you can see, you can also change page numbers out here. And now this assignment was prepared by uploading PDFs. As you can see that this looks like an image, and you can upload information using these links out here. Right. So let's see what the student sees now for this board. I'm going to switch back to the student section. So the student can now see, oh, there's some notification on my chat panel. So let me click on that. And I see, oh, my teacher has assigned me something. And if I click on that, that brings up my new assignment. And so you can also assign individual activities and things like that to the students within Teams. So that covers the primary functionality of Whiteboard.chat within Teams, which is adding a personal tab out here for the teachers to manage their pages, prepare the assignments, and manage all their boards. The second is to look at do it within your classroom, which could be a channels or channels within Teams, or just Teams as a whole, and then individual chat as well. Yeah, so if there's nothing else, I'd like to quickly switch over, and also, before we run out of time, talk about OneNote. So let's see. What I have done here is that I'm going to switch to the OneNote app here. Now, this is again, this is the same teacher role, and I have these sections and pages that are already available. This is, I think, is a pretty it's sort of a stock thing that is available, a stock page that is available from Microsoft itself, it's a science experiment on electrical circuits. And so there's other stuff, geography and stuff like that. But let's say now, as a teacher, that this is great for me to explain, but I would like to also involve my students by giving them an activity. And so that activity, I want to reuse the same electrical boards activity that I had assigned to my science class here, right? So I think I've done that here. So now what the teacher can do is, okay, you can click on the invite link here and copy the URL. And I'm going to switch over to OneNote. And I just need to merely paste that link here. This automatically embeds the same activity onto this page, right? Now, of course, you can prepare material for your own self this way. But then the really useful part about this comes in when you look at what happens when the same page has been shared with the students. So if I switch over to the student board, I mean the student browser, and I'm going to look at the student was also already on that page. So I should have probably been on a different page and then come back here. But the student sees the same activity already added, and the student can see. Now, as you can see, the same student had already done that activity partially by joining this electrical wire here, and that showed up here as well. So you have the same whiteboard.chat experience also within OneNote. Now, a quick word of caution that there are certain features, specifically media related features, where you want to capture your video either, or take some pictures and then add it to the whiteboard. Those which are available here, just to make sure I am clear about which one I'm talking about. Let me go start up a board. So this is just whiteboard.chat outside. Right. So, and then you have tools. Let me see. I think we have moved that media around. Dhaval, I might need your help in figuring out where that media
is. Sid, it is under tools only. If you just go back to the tools, and the very first item is add media.
I was looking at the right place to start with. Okay. So here, add media allows you to add webcam photos or videos. Unfortunately, the way Microsoft has currently implemented Teams is that when you try to access the same functionality from your browser, it depends upon just the way your browser may be configured, that this may or may not function for you, because there are certain settings that they may or may not allow based on certain browsers. The browser-based Teams still allows it, but the native Teams application definitely does not allow the media functionality yet. So just for us to be very upfront with you about this, sort of nothing that whiteboard.chat can do about that at this moment. But certainly, if there's what the teachers can do is they can always, in case they want to add just some content to their board, and nothing that is expected from students to come in. But if they want to add their own audio video content, you can always add it outside Teams, and then of course use their same board within Teams, and that works just fine.
Okay. Sid, can you repeat what you just described? There's a comment about, can we not add any photos? I suppose that's what the comment is about. So maybe you can describe it again, then maybe on browser and the difference between app and browser.
Yeah, let me be much more clear about that. So let's say if I go to images, right? Let's say, and if I pick up a standard dinosaur image, right? Let's say if I pick this guy, I make a snippet of this guy, like this guy. Okay, so if I do that here, that should be pastable. I think that should still work. Yeah, so that sort of, so you can add photos and images using this copy paste mechanism. That's no problem. You can even upload any files, like any PDF and things like that. So upload files from computer. So for example, if I wanted to add uh, our regular place value, there's a small assignment here that I often used in webinars. So this type of PDF, that stuff you can completely add, no problem. It's just the places where you want to take a photo using your webcam or a video using your webcam. That's the only part that I wanted to make sure that you understand. You may run into some challenges if you are using your Teams. Okay, so I think that I've covered most of the Teams and the OneNote functionality that we wanted to cover. So let me open it up for any other questions. If not, if you have any other questions in general about some of the features, I'm glad to, take those questions, those type of questions as well.
As of now, yes, there is one question. Talking about videos and audio files, teachers, students cannot complete any recording in WB, correct? We can't record it.
You can. So if you, so I'm just switching over to whiteboard.chat outside Teams here. And then if I go to tools and add media, you can always do like a video recording using these tools here. Maybe I'm not understanding.
No, that is the question. But otherwise, we can ask Dora to unmute yourself if this is not the answer to your question. Maybe we didn't understand your question, but you can record an audio. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Hi. Thank you for giving me a chance to talk. I'm just so excited. I teach languages, so speaking is very important. That's why I was asking my question. But I think you gave me the answer. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Great. Okay. There's a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Sid. I think you can now see the question. Yeah, it's on speech to text.
Speech to text option, and I saw that I could use it. Yeah. So let me go and maybe look at the student board here. Let's try and do it through Teams itself. Let's see, because sometimes Teams does have some media issues, but let's give it a shot, right? Let me go to a different page. Let me try and maybe make this better. Okay. And so if I go to text and click a type, yeah. So I think so for the students, let me see if the teacher needs to enable that for the students.
Sid, you may have disabled speech to text in the setting itself.
Right. That's what I was trying to enable speech to text.
Yes.
Enable that. Save it. Oh, 1 second. I may be on a different board though. Let me go back to that board. The student was on the basic math board. Go to basic math. Save it. Okay, let's give this. I'm going to refresh this. Sometimes this needs, when you change settings, you often need for it to go and fetch the settings again. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
So now the student has the option of entering the text, and let's say I try this. Hello, how are you? There you go. I hope that demonstration helps.
Sid, it would be helpful if you also show the translation, speech to text, where you can select the language is different and it gets translated into whichever language you want. We have that support as well. Yes.
So let's say I am going to speech and I'm going to translate it into Spanish. Should be fine. How is your day going? Cool. And you can also add another example if you'd like. Let's say I speak in what should I pick? Maybe I can speak in Spanish, so let me try that. That's good. Oh, I didn't realize there's so many. Okay. I can just say default here. I can say Buenos días, ¿cómo estás? It's probably going to stay. Probably need to pick English here. Sorry. It's probably going to pick another one.
Sid, there is one more question.
Just let me try that 1 second. Buenos días, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
The question is about that after the assignment is completed by all the students, are the scores available as a report card on Teams?
We are working on that integration. That's a really good question. Microsoft is working on some new features called assignments, which will enable applications to essentially provide that rostering and scoring information back into Teams. And so, yeah, hopefully, pretty soon that will be available. At this moment, it's mainly available in terms of this download report, as you had, as I had pointed out earlier, but not doesn't feed into the team's scoring at this moment. I hope that answers the question.
I guess you did. Sorry, there is one more question. So when the student posts a recording, I think you can read it via the add media option. Some of my students have reported that after the recording, it says fetching loading, but it never loads. Okay, so there might be some issue that we may have to look at it.
So Doreen, is that within Teams or outside Teams, just in regular whiteboard.chat? Yeah, I think it might be useful for us to probably just have a one-on-one meeting, Google Meet with you, and then we can try and investigate what's going on.
Yeah, so Doreen, if you can send us an email at feedback@whiteboard.chat, maybe with the board links, and we can take a look at it and see what might be happening. But it could be a temporary network issue as well. But send us an email and we can definitely take a look at it.
Great. Thanks. Okay. A few other things just to quickly mention. We do provide, your PD professional development certificates. So if you do want a PD certificate for this session, do write to us at feedback@whiteboard.chat, and we can send those out to you. Do mention what your full name is, that's what you'd like on a PD certificate. I'll type in the...
There is another question. Is it possible to integrate Flipgrid so that the recordings play in Whiteboard?
So there is this functionality to embed other websites also in whiteboard.chat. I specifically have not played Flipgrid, to be honest with you. So it's something we can try out, and we can let you know what level of integration it works with. Oh, this is a huge board. This has tons of stuff in it. I was trying to get to a blank page and see and show you where it is. But yeah, so there is a way to embed. I think it's in Gizmos, and if you
no, it's in the widgets, so you can go under if you go website, yes.
Yeah, and then if you drop in this website here, and then you can there are some really useful tools. Let me see if I can. Unfortunately, this gets in there. Okay. Yeah. There's some math editors. Yeah, let me go to this one. For example, I'll just show this. So if you'd like to embed a website, you can directly take this link and let me see that here. And so this directly lets you, so this is just a simple news website that I could quickly find, but we also have, so there are so many websites that have online activities like the geo boards and things like that, that you can directly embed using this same tool. So you could try Flipgrid too. And that's, I think, that's one thing we can take back and then get back to you on that as well. Okay. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all that I wanted to cover. Of course, my intention was not so much to get into the individual whiteboard.chat features, but yeah, if there's something that you would like me to quickly talk about, I can cover that. Or else I think that we could wrap up.
Yes, we just have a couple of more minutes, so we can wait and see if anybody have any questions in regards to anything. And we will be posting a recording of this webinar at our YouTube channel.
I can go ahead and stop the recording for now.
Yes, I think that might be good.